quietly with this nice tone this morning because I'm going to talk about some pretty shitty stuff. But it's okay because it's all for the good in the end. But I'm going to go ahead and give you a complete trigger warning here that I am going to discuss a rape scenario, sex trauma, rape scenario, not violent, not physically violent, but something really centered around, excuse me, you hear my throat chakra not wanting that to come out. How we've normalized, I'm going to call it drunk sex in our culture, in college, in dating. And guess what, guys? It's not that. So I'm going to go into kind of a story, an occurrence of what I experienced with a particular person. I know on my last episode, I said I was going to go straight into this week, or this episode, talking about kind of like the three like really main relationships, like serious relationships I had and how they affected how I got where I am. But I am backtracking just a smidge because I kind of skipped over one that was important. And it's when I was raped in college on my 20th birthday by someone I trusted. And it was a situation that until a long time later, many, many, many years later, I didn't really even consider it rape because of the stigma that has been established in society, the way that our society treats sex and sexual abuse. And yeah, I'm just going to jump right in. So there was a guy in my sophomore year of college, was really the big year where a lot of really crazy stuff happened. And it was when right after I went through this major breakup with my high school sweetheart. And it was a nasty breakup to begin with. And I just kind of went wild. And it was me escaping the controlled narcissists as well, but falling directly into substance abuse. And I actually am in a rape crisis group right now. And literally what we discussed yesterday, the handout they gave us was talking about, the issues with substance abuse and trauma victims. And typically those with, it is seen that those with PTSD have issues, particularly with cocaine and opiates, which makes sense because you're trying to numb and you're also trying to get that upper feeling. And so I wasn't surprised at all by that. And knowing what I know now spiritually about the way trauma is manifested and how that plays in with substance abuse, and the fact that our culture in general is set up so upside down on purpose to keep us in this track of substance abuse and feeling not good enough and wondering what's wrong with us when we can't figure out what to do. And it's like, oh, well, your sexual energy is off. Your masculine feminine balance is off. Your chakras are imbalanced and you can't think clearly when you're imbalanced. And we're kept in a chemical imbalance as well. How many times do you hear to reduce your salt or to lower your cholesterol? And those are actually things that our body requires to function properly as the antenna and machine that it is. And the decisions that we're making on a regular basis aren't necessarily always sound because we're existing in this imbalanced state until you balance yourself out. Um, but I digress. So my sophomore year, after I went through this breakup, I was kind of just playing the field. I was being a little playette. I was doing what guys got to do. I was doing the stuff that they get to do as their general routine. And I say get to do, I don't mean it in like this is like, I say it in a sense that it is like established as the norm behavior for guys to play the field in this way. And but if a girl does it, we're sluts. So I was regularly put in this situation where things that I did would have been perfectly acceptable for a guy to do, but because I was a girl doing them, I was judged heavily for them. And I'm in that situation right now with my divorce. I am passing the cutest little Volkswagen Bug that's been painted. So I met this guy out at a bar, and I went up to him because my friend thought he was cute, and I went up to him to say, my friend thinks you're cute, and she wants to know if you want her number. And he responded with, you can tell your friend that I think you're cute and I would like your number. And he was a good looking guy. I was single and I was flattered. And I was like, okay. And, that doesn't necessarily go over well with other girls sometimes. Uh, Excuse me, I was passing a billboard. Ooh, the sun rises. The sun's coming up. And so I gave him my number and we proceeded to start hanging out. And this was actually a situation where I was interested in being single and just having a very casual relationship. And he was interested in getting more serious and was not interested in having a physical relationship until we were more serious, which at the time I was like, what? I was annoyed. But again, nice guy, really nice guy. And at least I thought at the time. And it just kind of didn't work out with us. We would see each other here and there after that. We tried a little bit, but I was the one running around like a wild woman. And we just kind of fell away. And that summer, I went home for, I think, maybe like a month and a half. That was also the summer that one of my very good friends passed away from cancer, from 3 very rare forms of cancer, which is a whole nother subject because she developed cancer from poisoned groundwater and fertilizer. She is actually a spirit that comes to me and asks me to, oh, my hands are tingling, share what happened to her and talk about the poison. Right now I'm talking about the sex poison. So I was gone for like a month and a half. I went home for my friend's funeral, and was there for a little bit before I went back to school for summer school. I was taking a couple summer classes because, again, that was a really rough semester. I didn't do so great. I had to redo a couple classes. I was also doing a ton of cocaine and drinking my ass off. And it was just not a good situation. And I was so desperately trying to cope. And part of it was because I had broken up with my high school sweetheart, and it was a nasty breakup. And I was painted out to be the harlot when he cheated on me and tried to break up with me multiple times. But it was just this nasty back and forth where somehow I always got made out to be the one that was the bad guy, and they got off the hook for whatever their part in the situation was. Uh-oh. Okay, the sound quality is probably going to be different on this because my earbuds just died and I switched to an external microphone. So if this sounds funky, I do apologize, but it's what we're working with right now. And, okay, so where were we? I always got blamed for whatever happened in the relationship, even though most of the time they were the bad guy and I was responding, or I did what I'm not removing accountability. I did whatever I did because of the way that I was psychologically programmed and the decisions that I was making based on that. But I was having such a rough semester because of all of this other stuff that was going on. And so this guy, Jason, and I split ways. And we ended up crossing paths again on my 20th birthday in a bar after I was back at school for summer school. And I had literally just started seeing someone. And he was long distance. And so I ran into Jason and his friends on my birthday. I was out with some girlfriends. I was having a good time. I was only 20, fake ID, pretending I was 21. So we're like silently pretending it's not my birthday at the same time, but also like, it's my birthday. So I wanted to stay out. My friends were ready to go home. They had to work. They were done. They had to work the next morning. And they left me with him, which I said, leave me here with Jason. I'll be good. He was with a couple of his other friends that I knew well, or somewhat well, thought I did. And he was like, we'll get her home. He did not take me home. He took me to his house and raped me. And for so many years, I said, we had sex or he had sex with me. And that's not the case. He raped me while I was intoxicated. And sorry for just a second. He raped me anally, which was an accident. And it sounds like so backwards coming out like that. But I remember the pain, the feeling of it. That's really, it's like the flashback that I have of him being on top of me, just literally feeling the blinding, like crippling pain where I was trying to get out from under him and like trying to climb up the wall behind me just to like get out of there. And apparently I threw up everywhere as well. And so the next morning, that's really all I remember. And the next morning, I remember asking why there weren't any sheets on the bed. And he said, because I threw up everywhere. And then I asked, why does my ass hurt? And he was like, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. I didn't mean to. It was just like, it was aggressive and it slipped out and went back in the wrong hole. Okay, so you apologize for that. But at the same time, you told me you were going to take me home. And now I'm here doing this. And I went back to my apartment and went to work. And I think I ended up getting off work that night too. But it was just kind of like, oh, you and Jason slept together that night. It wasn't like he took you home drunk. And let's just talk about how that was like never the explanation. But every time you're having a sexual encounter with somebody, you're doing an energetic exchange. And the energy from that encounter stays in your tissue until you learn to heal it. And women, when you're having a sexual encounter with somebody that does not have the same respect for your body, that leaves a negative energetic imprint in your womb tissue as well that stays there until you release it. And I never told my mom really about it. I never really approached it as rape until years later when I really started, going through therapy, getting sober, but it just, you finally realize, like, no, when you watch enough stuff about, if you're intoxicated, that's not consent. You can't consent when you are that heavily intoxicated. And then it just leads me to like literally all the instances of rape that I've seen around me that nobody has defended and nobody has stood up for. I know someone who had senior week, and I heard stories and rumors about, how skanky we thought she was, such a good girl, and here she is in the living room having sex on a pull-out couch with this guy. And I remember thinking, like, yeah, how skanky. I can't believe she did that. She's not the person that I thought would do that. And then I find out from somebody else that was there that she was just absolutely hammered, intoxicated. And she was not having sex with somebody on that couch in front of everyone. She was raped on that couch in front of everyone. And everyone stood there watching. And that's the theme of our society. Everybody stands by and watches as people are abused, as people are poisoned, as people are made to feel crazy. And going through all of the experiences to wake up to this universe and who we are and what we're here for, and that we are supernaturally divine beings that have been manipulated into this life of being abused, and 1919 on the timer, taking less than we deserve, and being poisoned and being okay with it is not okay anymore. We have to talk about what has happened, because you can't heal it unless you feel it. And that's why I'm talking about it right now. And after this instance, I'll tell you, what I've discovered since my spiritual awakening and tapping into my gifts. What I recognize in there now is that here's the karmic return of this. When I went to move into my apartment the next year, he was my downstairs neighbor, and he was moving in with his girlfriend, or he was already living there with his girlfriend Elizabeth, which is also my name. And I had to live above him for a year, and then they graduated and got married. They're still married, and I've still like looked at him on Facebook and been like, oh, I hope he's happy. I wonder what he's doing. And have looked at like, oh, the one that got away when I was in unhappy relationships. And then it's like, no, that is someone that raped you. And he gave me genital warts from that encounter as well. And it was something I hid for such a long time because there was such a stigma and such a shame. And you don't realize that, like, okay, it is something that does go away. And it is something that actually comes along with the, again, energetic imprint of the encounter. You get, that's where STDs come from. That's where STDs come from, by the way, everybody. Yes, there's a bacteria, there's parasite, there's a whatever, but it's in that person because of the energetic return, what they've put out into the universe, what they've manifested in themselves, parasite-wise, because of their activity, because of their behavior, because of what's happened in their life and what they've chosen to do. And I'm doing a parasite detox right now because I chose to sleep with somebody a couple months ago, and it was a horrible idea. It was a bad idea, and I'm still paying for it right now, and that's okay. It set me back a whole lot, and it's because I didn't use my discernment properly. I didn't read my synchronicities properly, and I was searching for intimacy outside of myself before truly being happy with myself. And I did it. I got a feeling of obligation. I've stayed quiet for a long time out of a feeling of obligation. And I'm not anymore. Because, again, the person that raped me, and I'm still carrying it around, was somebody who said they would never hurt me, said they didn't want to hurt me, that they wanted to respect me before they had, that they wanted to be in a relationship with me before they had a physical encounter. And that didn't happen. It's not how that happened. So there's that. And then the kicker is, a couple days later when he called me and wanting to get together and like try to start something up with me, start a relationship and make plans to go do something, I told him, I just started seeing somebody. Like, I'm really sorry, but I just started seeing somebody. And he got so mad. He got so upset. And I was the whore, right? I was the one that did something wrong. Oh, I slept with him while I was seeing somebody else. And that made me the bad one. No, I was raped. Yeah. And then after that, I stayed in a relationship that I shouldn't have been in for a lot longer than I should have, because it was comfortable. I talked about this in my last episode with the other Brian, who felt safe because I
honestly was like, I'm out of your league, so I'm not worried about you cheating on me. I'm not worried about you doing me dirty. And that was wrong of me to string him along, to hold on to him for my own comfort. And we actually had some good conversations several years later and kind of like mended things, but then I found out he really struggled with heroin addiction. And last I saw, he was living in Arizona sober and doing a great job. But I found out because his mom shared it on Facebook, and it was a very touching post at the time about what it's like to be the mother of an addict, and seeing now that the addiction comes from the trauma that we've experienced in our lives and trying to exist in a world that we weren't made to like exist in. He was kind of a free spirit and didn't really want to do all the same stuff that everybody else wanted to do, and kind of went against the grain. And it's like, you know, we're fucking prisoners in America. We're domestic fucking slaves to this American dream notion, and to the government, and to all these other institutions that we're supposed to keep happy, that were never meant to be invented in the first place. It's not how we're supposed to be living. And, you know, trying to operate under that structure gives you trauma. You have responses. Especially when the people around you are telling you there's something wrong with you for wanting to do that. Which is, again, what I'm living through right now. And I never told him about the STD. And I worried for so long. It was literally something I kept to myself for so long. And I worried about giving it to other people. And I was like constantly checking myself. And it was just like, the worry, the trauma that came along with that. And yeah. You can heal those things, by the way, people. You just have to, it's not just the meds, you have to do the energetic healing as well, because whatever that trauma is within your body carries the energetic code with it. Ding, 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 ding. And you have to get it checked out. But you have to heal the energetic link as well to whatever's going on. So yeah, there is that story. And right now I'm leaving this one as a standalone short episode, because this story was one I really needed to get out that I didn't tell a lot. And it's one that has been really held deep within. And now it's out. So this one will let stand alone. And the next episode, we will get into, that trinity of relationships that really just fucked me up and put me in the hands of narcissists for most of my life. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. We see what's happening. But we're going to talk about my ex that I'm divorcing right now, especially. And we're going to talk about the trauma bonded group of friends that I fell into with him, and just the absolute debauchery that was committed on a weekend basis by this group, going to the beach every weekend, getting drunk, getting just absolutely hammered every weekend, and taking girls home, drunk girls home, and just the really unhealthy behavior that was normalized, and the things that came along with it, and the things that I'm healing now, because this person that I'm divorcing was a massive alcoholic and has been allowed through our systems to paint me out as an unfit mother because of cannabis use, because of what they've deemed as erratic behavior related to my decisions to heal trauma, to move out, to change my life drastically, which I've said is a calling from God. And if you've listened to any of my other episodes, you know that I'm a starseed. You know that I have remembered who we are as a people, that I am here to help wake others up to your divine nature, activate your own gifts and your own consciousness, and help you down that path by sharing my story as well. So when I say God, I am talking source energy. We are all part of source. We are all part of the one. And, you know, our benevolent galactic brothers and sisters, the Galactic Federation, the Palladians have been overseeing us and upgrading us for centuries. And, you know, in this ascension time right now, where we're weeding out the good and the bad in Earth as Earth ascends into a higher dimension, into a higher level of consciousness and vibration. We finally made it to that point, but we have to get this stuff out of the way first so that we can heal into the light. You can't have the light without the dark. We have to go through the dark and see what's really going on before we can step into the light. Okay? So I know it's hard to get through, but yeah, that's what's going on. And I am pulling up at a flea market. Like, what a funny instance. We're getting rid of the fleas. I'm selling a bunch of stuff from my old house, jewelry, things like that, making some extra money on this like vendor circuit and figuring out where I am going next to step into my journey. And it's time to make some moves. And this is kind of one of the last steps in order to accomplish that. And yeah, so thank you for being here for this standalone short episode. I will be recording a longer one later after the flea market to kind of unleash the final fury of my ex, I guess, and really talk about what he's been able to do to me in this divorce unfairly. 33 on the timer as I said that, and as I'm arriving at this flea market. So I hope everybody has a beautiful day, and thank you for being here with me to discuss this very difficult topic. And I will talk to you later. Love you. If no one's told you they love you today, I'm telling you, I love you. Have a good day.